super excited to have this next guest back on the show, coming off an amazing victory in a fight that he was the underdog for some reason. We don't know why, but came through. As always, we're talking about the man they call Super, Raufeon Stots. Welcome back to the show, Raufeon.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate being back.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. We're glad to have you. So let me tell you, going into that fight, I was looking at his record and I was looking at your record, and I was scratching my head saying, why are they making this Russian guy such a big favorite over Raufeon Stots? And I called a couple friends of mine who know sports betting and handicapping, and they said they don't have any idea either. They don't know what the odds makers are looking at, except for maybe they were thinking that every Russian fighter now is like Khabib Nurmagomedov or something. But
I think that's like a part of it. For me, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking part of it is like Russia is so hot. Like Russia is like the place to be if you're doing MMA.
Yep.
And then also, I think because he had a win over the former champion Peter Yan,
right?
Which many people regard to being like he should still be the champion. I think those two things, you know, is what made him a favorite over me. You know, and I just didn't buy into it.
No, I think you're right. I think they really did probably base it off of that. But yeah, man, you were focused. Your record is amazing. You knew what you were doing. So please tell us how that fight played out as opposed to what you were expecting. What was the same? What was different? And how did you feel overall about your performance?
So I knew he was going to come out, and I knew he was decent at striking, but he was great at wrestling and great at grappling. So I knew he was going to come out and try to grapple me. I also figured that he believed that he was better than me, just from encounters we had, you know, and talking to him back and forth on Instagram and Twitter and things. He didn't believe I belonged in the same cage as him. So I knew those things, and I knew what I needed to stop. What surprised me about him was his top pressure when he got on top. I didn't think, you know, most times most people they're either like super high or super low, and he did a good job of playing that middle ground, so I couldn't really decipher where I wanted to go right away. But other than that, everything was pretty much how I envisioned it. You know, I knew he was going to try to take me down. I knew when he got me down, he was going to, you know, try to keep me there and not really do a lot. And I feel like I addressed those issues really well. Absolutely.
Now, do you feel being in there with him and seeing him breathing, seeing his face, seeing his expressions and like that, do you feel that he was as confident throughout, or do you think at some point he was starting to get frustrated?
No, after that first takedown, so he tried to take me down in the first, and after I like pretty much shoved him and like bullied him into the cage, there was a look on his face like, who the fuck is this guy? Oh, who is this dude? You know?
Right. And so,
you know?
It's just like, so even though he didn't surprise you, it looks like you kind of surprised him.
Yeah, exactly. And I figured that because I figured he thought, you know, I didn't deserve to be in there with him, you know, and he was a much better fighter than I was. So for me to do that, you know, and that's why, you know, I was talking back and forth with him, because like I noticed like, oh yeah, okay, now you respect me now, and you didn't expect to respect me before the fight. So that's when I knew, I'm like, oh yeah, I got this guy.
Nice. Now, was there any point in the fight that that he hurt you, or that you feel you hurt him?
I thought I hurt him in the second, when after he threw a spinning elbow, and he hit me flush with the spinning elbow, but I threw a right hand right afterwards, and he dropped, and I thought, you know, for a second that, you know, it was over, but he came right back up to a takedown, or try to take me down, so he wasn't out. The other time is when I had him in the rear naked, and when I almost finished the rear naked. You know, I thought for sure I would have had him out of the fight. I heard him like gurgling. You know, I had the choke in deep under his neck. I just couldn't connect my second hand. He did a good job of controlling my second hand, and it was like I could envision the finish happening, because I heard like the crowd screaming, USA, USA.
Yep.
And I was like, oh man, this is like the perfect moment.
Yep.
This is a perfect moment. Like, I'm going to get this finished. But, you know, he did a good job of fighting out.
Without a doubt. Those Russian guys hate to tap out.
Yeah, he was prepared. Yeah. He was prepared to die because I heard him gurgling. Like, I was thinking, like, yeah, I got to put this guy out because he is not giving this up. You know, I had it. It was pretty sunk in with the one arm. If I would have had my second arm, I would have been able to put him out. But yeah, he was prepared.
Yep, without a doubt. So overall, even though we know that you were better than he thought you would be, and you were better than odds makers thought you would be, how good was he compared to what you thought? Was he just as good as what you thought, and then you did what you knew you were going to do, or was he not quite as good as you had expected?
I created more of a boogeyman than I needed to create, but I feel like I do that for all my fights.
Right.
Because I feel like when I lose, the only time I lost is when I underestimated people.
Right.
I underestimated one guy, and I came out too nonchalant, and I paid the price for it. So I'm always gonna create a bigger boogeyman than probably what reality is, but you know, that's just what I got to do for my mindset in fighting. Right,
absolutely. Like I remember I was at the UFC, the McGregor and Poirier card. I remember Gilbert Burns beating Wonder Boy, and he mentioned a guy in Bellator. What's it? Do you know that guy they trained with, Raymond Daniels or something?
Yep, Raymond Daniels. Yeah.
And he said that in all honesty, no disrespect to Wonder Boy, but he said Raymond Daniels was like faster and stronger than Wonder Boy, right? Would you agree that's possibly true?
I would agree that's possible.
Yeah.
Raymond Daniels is one of the, as known as one of the most, electrifying, karate specialists. You know, he has definitely the more, flashy, faster style of fighting.
Yeah, and Burns mentioned that since he was there and one other guy, that they were actually putting more pressure on him than Wonder Boy did, and so it turned out that it was like, it was the best situation because he was ready if Wonder Boy had been way stronger and faster than he was, but then when he turned out not to be, then it was great. So like you said, it's always better, like you do, create the worst boogeyman in terms of who you think your opponent's going to be.
It's like they say, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
100%. Cardio-wise, how did you feel about your cardio? And excuse me, sorry. And then tell me what number grade from 1 to 10 you give your performance.
My cardio, I feel like was really good. After I almost got the after I almost finished in the rear naked, I kind of burned my arms out. So my arms kind of were dead at the end of the third round, but they came back, within like 30 seconds or so. Other than that, like my cardio, I could have won another 2 or 3 rounds. I felt very comfortable. I didn't feel like nerves got me. So I give my performance around probably a 9.
Sounds good. Yeah, it looked really good to me. Who was the main event on that card? I'm sorry that I forgot.
Yeah, it was Musashi versus John Salter.
That's right, and Musashi won that fight, right?
Yes, sir. Third round TKO, I think.
That makes sense, and that was a good fight. Salter's a tough guy. So let's talk about the bantamweight division, man, because this was really one hell of an opponent that you got by. And your name, all of a sudden, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, because I'm sure your name with your record was in people's heads before, but now it's really in the forefront of people's minds. Who is the champion at bantamweight, and who else is in front of you, if anyone?
Yeah, so the champion is my teammate Sergio Pettis. And then before me at this moment, before rankings come out or updated rankings come out, right now there is Juan Archuleta, Patchy Mix, then the guy that I beat.
Right, and now Darian Caldwell, I heard, was coming back down, but has that happened yet?
Yeah, he came back down, I think, and he lost. I think he's like ranked number 10 or something.
Okay, all right. So but you got Juan Archuleta and you got Patchy Mix, and then you got your teammate Sergio. So as far as you're aware, do you think they're going to probably try to put you against Juan or Patchy, or do you think there may be a chance they're going to try to take you right to a Pettis match?
Yeah, after that fight, like me and him were pretty much the boogeymans of the division. Like nobody even I've been offered to fight Patchy Mix twice, and Patchy Mix has declined 2 times. I've called him out multiple times. He is not interested in fighting me.
Right.
Juan Archuleta, I'm more than welcome to fight him, you know. But I don't feel like he poses like a threat to me. He just lost to Sergio Pettis, and I kind of got him figured out already. But yeah, so I believe I would be number 1, just because of the magnitude of this fight, and you know how we both perform and how we both like dominated up to this point. You know, I would assume that I would be around 1. I'm also the only guy in the top 10 that have beaten 3 other guys in the top 10. So, you know, the quality of my opponents is really high, and I'm just, you know, I just feel like I'm the best. So.
Absolutely. Have you talked to Sergio about this? Because it looks like it's inevitable that very soon you two will be fighting.
We just pretend it ain't happening until, you know, we sign contracts, you know? So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Just because we're teammates and we help each other out, you know. So if we get a fight with somebody else, you know, we'll be a good training partner, and we'll give him looks that'll help him for that fight. You know, that's just how we've been doing it forever. So, you know, we're just gonna until they announce that we're fighting or tell us that we're fighting. It's probably gonna be the same. We'll
Makes
just
sense.
act like it didn't happen.
Makes sense. And you guys both train out of Duke Rufus Gym, right?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, when it does happen, then what is Duke going to do? Do you think he's going to pick one of you over the other, or probably not? He'd just be sitting in the chair in the fan seat.
You know, we talked, and one of my other coaches, Scott Cushman, he brought up like a good idea, which I like. He was like, so we'll train together or whatever, and then as soon as the like fight happens, we'll just bring no coaches, and then me and Sergio pretty much will be we'll bring 2 other teammates. Both of us will bring 2 teammates, and then we'll just go in there and fight without any coaches.
That makes sense. That makes sense, because your teammates know you well, and I know that I'm sure Duke wouldn't want to be in one corner over the other. You know what I was thinking about when I think of Duke, man? I think about his older brother, Rick the Jet Rufus.
Yeah, Rick Rufus. He's a beast.
He is. Does he ever spend much time around the gym?
No, I think he's in California, or he was in California helping out with what's that gym? Alpha Mill.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know, that's kind of where he's at. And maybe he's got a gym out there. But yeah, we don't see him that often. Duke talks about him a lot, and you know, praises him and you know, shows us his techniques all the time. You know, we watch a lot of film from him. So yeah, he's definitely an influence in Duke's teaching.
Good. He's a warrior, you know, because I'm an older guy, Generation X guy, just like Duke and Rick. And I remember watching them fight, and Rick was first. I remember I was a kid. I was watching Rick. He was in a kickboxing match where he had the long pants that kickboxing, right? And he had red, white, and blue, like a flag, you know, fighting sweats. You know, he was slick.
That. I've watched a bunch of his fights.
Yeah, he was slick, man. That was way back in the day. That was before they even thought about MMA. It's too bad too, because if Rick and Duke were younger, man, they both could have been forces in MMA. You know, because they were such strong, athletic guys, and you know,
definitely
they had their striking, right? You know,
definitely. Duke was thinking about doing MMA actually. It was like toward the end of his career. He actually trained, I think, for an MMA fight.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but it never came to. But yeah, Duke definitely could do it. I know for a fact Duke could do it. His wrestling is good. His jiu-jitsu is good. He's very knowledgeable. He'd do very well.
I believe it. And Duke is like what, 4 or 5 years younger than Rick? Because I know Rick's got to be like 55 or 56 now.
Yeah, I think Duke's around 50.
Right about the big 5-0.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. You know what you should do if you want to see some Rick amazing matches. He had 2 or 3 matches against an African-American fighter, Michael McDonald. And they just beat the crap out of each other, right? You know, I mean, that guy was a beast, too, if you look him up. But yeah look up Rick Rufus, Michael McDonald. And,
Michael will do.
Yeah, some amazing fights. So you got the Pettis brothers. Now, Sergio, you and Sergio are like a similar age, right? You're 29, right?
I'm 32, actually.
32, all right.
I'm 32. Sergio just turned 28.
Okay, all right. So, but you're still right there in your prime, and that even gives you possibly even the strength advantage, because I know a lot of fighters in their early 30s are a little bit stronger than fighters in their 20s. But nevertheless, it's still pretty close. And you guys, how many years have you been training at Rufus with Sergio Pettis? Like 3-4 years, more than that?
Yes, I've been training there like 7 years.
Wow. And
Yeah.
and the Pettis brothers have been there from the beginning as well, right?
Yeah, he's been there since he was like 8 or 16, I think.
Wow. So you
15
guys,
or 16,
so
yeah.
you guys been training together for about 7 years, the whole time you've been there.
Yeah,
Huh?
the whole time I've been there, I've been with Sergio. Yeah.
Crazy, man, crazy. Well, you know what, it will be what it'll be, you know, because I know that most teammates say I'm not fighting my teammate unless it's for the title, but this would be for the title, right? So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so it's like that's the only way I do it, you know, if it'll change the kind of trajectory of my family. But
yeah. It is
what I'm
what
really
it is.
hoping for, if they're doing like $1 million tournament, you know, and we fight on opposite sides of the bracket, that way, you know, we can still be teammates for a lot longer, and then I can run through the other guys and make $1 million at the end. The winner gets $1 million. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd really like to see that. So you, I'm sure, are a fan of MMA. Who are some of the other fighters out there other than the guys? Because I know you're obviously a big fan of the Pettis brothers and whoever else is over at Rick Rufus. Or you know what? Other than the Pettis brothers, who are some of the fighters that you like a lot? If you want to throw your teammates out there, and maybe throw out some people though that more people may have heard of, if you wouldn't mind, even if it's someone in the PFL or UFC or One Championship, any people that you are impressed with, or maybe even like bantamweights that you think would be fun matchups in some of these other organizations.
I'm always a fan of Demetrius Johnson. You know, I feel like he's the GOAT. You know, and I like his style and you know how he carries himself in fights and otherwise.
Definitely.
I also like my teammate Gerald Mearshart, who's the leader of submissions in the UFC at the middleweight division. Who else we got at bantamweight? You know, I'm pretty impressed with Corey Sandhagen. Sandhagen, I trained with him, and he's really talented, and he had like an amazing fight against T.J. Dillashaw. You know, I feel like he's a force. Also Adrian Yanez, who I'm beginning to train with.
Yes, very good fighter. Good strike, great striker.
Very good fighters.
Yeah, that Yanez fight, man, against
Randy Costa.
Costa, yeah, man, because Costa came out immediately with that length, and it was looking like Costa was just piecing him up, but Yanez looked like he just stayed composed. And what do you feel it is that made the tide turn in the second round of that fight?
Yanez is just comfortable being a dog, man. He's a dog. He when stuff gets tough, he doesn't wilt. He just, you know, stays true to what he knows, and you know, goes and gets the job done.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, because this is something I think a lot of people kind of are curious about, and they can't really know unless they've been in there. Like when you saw that second round come around and Costa went from looking super confident, dancing around, touching up Yanez, keeping on touching him, all of a sudden, like, you could see the look in Costa's face. He almost looked like something was wrong, like he was confused, like he didn't want to throw anything. What made him feel that way and look that way, do you think?
I would say it's a bit of adrenaline dump, and I would say it's a bit of you know, like experience. So experience plays like a major role. Like what experience you have. So if he's not comfortable being like the backside, you know, or somebody like beating on him for a while, if you're not comfortable in that position, you don't really know how to react or overcome it. You know what I mean? And that builds more anxiety and builds more like hesitation and things of that nature. So there's a lot of stuff like going through your mind at once because you're not comfortable in places.
Right.
But I think that's the two things that I would attribute to like somebody like looking like a really amazing and then, you know, kind of falling off.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, I'm thinking maybe is it that once he started to feel some of Yanez's power, it looks like he didn't want to throw. Because one thing a lot of people don't think about is if you're throwing, you're opening yourself up to being hit. And if you don't want to be hit because you don't like it, then it kind of makes a bunch of guys kind of stop throwing, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Power definitely plays factor.
Yeah, but yeah, that Yana's coming back, man. Yeah, and that was bantamweight. So that's your division there. And then over in one, you got Demetrius Johnson, who I also feel is definitely the GOAT of the lighter weights, possibly the GOAT of all the weights. You know, he's amazing. Question for you. Adriano Moraes in that fight with Mighty Mouse looked a lot bigger than Mighty Mouse. Now, I've heard some people try to say, no, it didn't, look again, but I think most of us looked and saw that not only did Moraes look like he was like 4 inches taller, but he looked like he was the heavier man.
Oh, no,
sure.
He definitely was the heavier man. He was definitely.
And part of this is because the flyweight division in one championship is 135 limit, not 125 limit.
Yeah, because they have to be rated while weighing in.
Exactly. And so essentially, Mighty Mouse is back up to where he had to fight before he really became the Mighty Mouse we all know. Back up at bantamweight when he was a real short guy and a small guy. And Adriano Moraes has some skills. We know that. We could see that. But Mighty Mouse hadn't lost for a while. I mean, maybe sometimes you can get better after you lose, but can he come back at his age, having to fight now in this heavier weight class and do some damage, or is it going to be a difficult road, do you think, for him?
No, I think Mighty Mouse will come back and be just as good. I don't feel like he gets like too caught up in ego and too caught up in like much of anything.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Which plays like to his benefit, because then he'll brush this off his shoulder like, yeah, I got knocked out, like I'm not the baddest man in the world, you know what I mean? So I think, and that's what makes him like great to me. Like he doesn't boast about how good he is or anything, or he doesn't like play any ego about how good he is, but he's just that good. And he's confident, but he's just, you know, he's just confident.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's amazing. His skills are so balanced and such a mellow, chill guy. I mean, that's one of the things I really was surprised that UFC didn't try to jump behind him. But let me ask you this. It seems like 125 weight class doesn't get a lot of love anywhere. For whatever reason, a lot of people are hating the guys that are 125 pounds. And UFC was talking about getting rid of that division a year ago, 2 years ago. And they didn't want to seem to put a lot of energy behind Mighty Mouse, and part of me is thinking that Mighty Mouse was not a trash talker. Mighty Mouse was a super respectful, intelligent, humble, true martial artist. And it seemed to me like because he was that lightest weight class, and because he didn't have any crazy image or talk trash, that they kind of just felt, well, you know what? People don't care about this guy. Yeah, he's the GOAT, whatever, blah, blah, but people don't want to watch him. I mean, what do you think about that? Is that something that is a reality that can't be overcome? Or do you think they could have done something to try to put the publicity machine behind Mighty Mouse?
I mean, they could. It's just harder. It's harder to promote those type of what's the name. But I'm not saying it can't be done. You know, It can be done. More people respond, or it's easier to get people to respond to chaos than it is, you know, people to respond to like, yeah, I'm a good person and good martial arts. Right. It's just easy, you know. I mean, that's why the news is so big, you know, the bad news sells, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I mean, it could be done. Yeah, it could be done, but they didn't want to spend the money to do it. They didn't want to spend the time to do it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. It is what it is. And one championship came up with money because it's got to be a show me the money type of situation, especially Mighty Mouse has put in so much time. You got to pay him. And that's something that I hope happens. And I like the $1 million tournaments, you know, the idea, and, you know, hopefully that comes up for you. So at 135, man, it's, you know, it's an exciting landscape. Love to see a tournament in there. 135 has pretty much been your home, and you feel comfortable staying here for quite a bit longer, or do you think at one point you could be eyeing 145?
At this point, I'm still at 135. Maybe later on, maybe a couple of years, or depending on how me cleaning out the division goes. You know, I'll be open to moving up, but it's not a bad weight cut for me now.
That's cool. So let me ask you about a couple other Bellator things, because we want to show Bellator some love. We appreciate what you guys are doing. It seems to me that if you look back 2 years ago, Bellator wasn't nearly as deep with potential superstars as they are now. So I like the direction Bellator is going. What did you think of that AJ McKee Pitbull fight? Did you expect that McKee would win convincingly or win at all, or did it surprise you?
It definitely surprised me. I didn't think, like, I wasn't like super surprised that he won, because he's very good. But yeah, he surprised with how he finished and how dominant he was. You know, that was amazing. He was amazing. He showed out, you know, on the biggest stage of his life. And you know, I kind of stopped doubting AJ McKee after he fought. I think it was Derek Campos. I was able to witness that fight live, and just because I was fighting on the card too. But so AJ McKee is very good, and I was super impressed with him.
Absolutely, and they had a lot of bad blood there. That was craziness that was going on in that press conference, man, with them talking all that trash, you know. But that brought some excitement.
They've been yapping at each other for years, you know, so they got like plenty of ammo against each other. They've been watching each other for a long time. Like when Pitbull was champion when AJ first started, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So like that's crazy, you know what I mean? Crazy for Pitbull to reign that long, and it's also, you know, cool and crazy for AJ to like start MMA and then pretty much defeat the guy who he's been looking up to for the longest.
Absolutely. And he's got a cool gym over there. His dad, Antonio McKee, is a unique dude, former MMA champion. And then they got Joey Davis over there, Black Ice, who's a very good wrestler. I think Joey Davis in Division II was like 175-0 in his 4 years.
What's the name? I actually wrestled against his team.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, I wrestled against Joey Davis's team. I had two teammates wrestle against him. They both lost. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. I know a guy who was a really good high school, like all city wrestler and a good jiu-jitsu guy. And he went over there and trained with them a little bit. And he said that even though he knew exactly where Joey was going to shoot, he couldn't stop him no matter what. I mean, it was like literally he knew, and my friend's a strong guy, but he said Joey Davis is like, you know, boom. He said they started and boom, my friend's down his butt on the ground. And he was like, damn.
Very good.
Yeah, without a doubt. They got some good people over there. Kimbo Slice's son kind of gave it a shot. Baby Slice.
He's fighting here again.
Is he?
Ferguson. Yep,
cool.
He's fighting, I want to say in September.
Cool. Can't wait to see that. Let me ask your opinion on this next Bellator that we have going Friday. Some interesting fights there. I'm looking in the middle, and I'm seeing a few guys. What do you think? Adam Borix and J.J. Wilson. You know what's weird? Borix was hot for a while. Now they got him barely a favorite over J.J. Wilson, someone I never heard of.
Borix is like really, really good, but J.J. has like come into his own. Like his last 2 or 3, I think he's gotten knockouts, and I think the last one was over somebody that was ranked number 3 or ranked very high.
Oh wow! Any prediction on that fight, Borix or Wilson?
Oh man, I gotta go Borix. You know, I just feel like Borix is he's more dynamic and has more he's just more dynamic, and he's got a little better skill, I would say. Yeah. But JJ is explosive and very good, and he's still young and he's ever improving. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a close fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Oddsmakers have it close. How about Kevin Lee's brother Keith Lee against someone named Jornel Lugo, who is a big favorite over Keith?
Yeah, that's a tough fight. I'm gonna say Keith Lee. I had a tough fight with Keith Lee. I know how good he is. I know that Lugo kid is pretty good too. But I'll say Keith Lee. I'm gonna go Keith Lee.
The slight upset in that one. I like it. All right, and then how about we go, the other few guys, not enough guys. No, so let's go to the top. I am so happy to see a man that we had on the show 3 years ago. This man's got to be 45 years old if he's a day, and he still looks like has like 8% body fat. We're talking about Czech Congo going up against Sergey Haritanov's got to be 45 years old as well. Both these guys have been in the game for 20 years. What do you think of?
I was at Home Depot today, and I was wearing a Bellator shirt, and somebody was like, and I'm in Houston, Texas right now. Somebody was like, "Hey, you a fighter?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You know Czech Congo?"
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, "Yeah, I know him. He's fighting this couple weeks." He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm good friends with him. I know him."
He's a cool dude.
Okay. You say what?
He's a cool dude. Sorry to interrupt you there, but yeah. He
seems like a really cool dude.
And you know what's funny? I'm looking at his record. My producer just pulled it up. You know, if he had not been on the wrong end of a split decision last year against Timothy Johnson.
Tim Johnson, yeah.
Right. If he had not been on the wrong end of that split decision, that would have been like 10 wins in a row. And that was his
title, I think.
Yeah, that's a shame, man. I hate to see that happen, but now he's got
Tim Johnson went on to fight for the title.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Johnson's a tough guy with that big mustache, I think.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So Haratonov is 40 and Czech is 46. I know Haratonov's, but he has been in the game for 20 years. I remember when he fought in Pride, he came in there wearing like the army camouflage fatigues. I remember Russian army coming in, so he's been at it for a while. What do you think in that one, man? That's an interesting matchup between two veterans, Haratonov against Czech Congo. What do you think?
I'm gonna go. I haven't watched much of the other guy, to be honest.
Right,
I don't know
right.
any of the other guys, so I'm gonna go Czech Congo.
Makes sense. So 135, we got some interesting things coming up. I may have asked you this last time, and I think I maybe did, but Brian Ortega against Volkanovski. I think that you definitely have Volkanovski winning that fight all day, or you think it could be a close one?
No, I definitely think it's going to be a close one. Yeah, that's at 145. I think Brian Ortega has like really improved since his Max Ortega fight or Max Holloway fight. And you know, Holloway and Volkanovski have had like really tough matches. So I think that's really gonna be close because the wrestling or the jiu-jitsu of Brian Ortega, I think will maybe make Volkanovski maybe not as wrestle heavy. And then I think the striking, he's got some dynamic striking. Brian Ortega, and I think it's gonna be tough. It's a tough fight.
It is. It's gonna be a good battle. How about this Saturday on the UFC, if you wouldn't mind? What's your opinion on a flyweight match with Brandon Royval against Alexandre Pantoja?
Oh man, that's a good fight too.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Pantoja's Brandon Royval.
Yeah, I like Royval too.
Yeah. I feel like he's so he's like a numbers guy. He's like always going, always moving, and you know he's got some good power. Yeah, I like Royval.
Absolutely. I know that Royval only had that one kind of slip up against the now champion Brandon Moreno, where he that fight ended in an injury and to his leg or something. But I think he's definitely going to be on the warpath to come back in that fight. Here, let me ask you about this other one. This is a weight class above yours at featherweight, I believe it is. Is this featherweight or is this lightweight? I think featherweight. Yeah, you got Clay Guida going up against Mark O. Madsen, the Olympian from Denmark. And let me ask your opinion on this. Mark Madsen is a slight favorite in that fight. I have all respect in the world for Clay Guida, but Mark Madsen is a naturally bigger man. I think he's a couple years younger, but he's got a lot less wear and tear on his body. He's probably 5 times the wrestler that Clay Guida ever was, which is why he's a little bit of a favorite. But I was listening to some guys throwing out their predictions, and all kinds of people are throwing out, man, I might have to go with Clay Guida, this, that, and the other. And it's like, I mean, anything could happen, but I don't see how they're thinking that. I mean, Clay Guida, what do you think?
I don't know. Unless something crazy happens, I feel like the Mark guys wrestling will. Clay Guida's wrestling is, I mean, it's good because of how Clay Guida fights.
Right.
And it's kind of like I want to call it dirty, but I don't mean that as like bad.
Just gritty, it's just, real gritty, yeah.
Gritty, yeah, it's gritty, you know. But I feel like that Mark
Manson.
guy's wrestling will maybe cancel out that kind of style.
That's what I think, you know, because go ahead.
I'll go with the Mark guy.
Yeah, that's what I really think, because I just honestly, I think with Guida being really at the tail end of his career, it just seems like the guys that he could beat are guys that just are really, really green and really, really new. And I know Madsen maybe doesn't have a lot of MMA fights, but his wrestling is just so much better. I just think really, even if he just basically stays on top of Guida and holds him down, he wins that fight.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, there's other interesting fights, all kinds of good stuff going on. How soon do you think it'll be till you hear about when your next fight will be? Are they giving you any hints or anything?
No, I haven't heard anything yet. I would imagine that I'd hear something in the next 2-3 weeks. As far as like a plan or something. And right now I'm just kind of chilling, you know. I had a lot going on this camp. I had to, I moved to Texas and we bought a new house and I got a new 3-month-old baby. So
Congratulations.
Thanks. So right now I'm pretty much just like gonna soak it in for at least a month or so, and then look to start another camp.
It makes sense because you do have to recover. A lot of people, I think, look at a fight and see if one guy wins, they kind of almost look at it like, well, then that guy didn't take any damage for sure. And that can't be further from the truth, right? If you go in there with 3 hard rounds.
Yeah,
right?
There's always injuries and stuff, you know. You check a kick, you block the punch, even me kicking somebody, you know, even if I hit him perfectly, I'm still bone on bone most situation, or bone on muscle. You know, you got a little bit of injuries.
Exactly. So how soon do you think you would be ready if it were like an ideal time for you?
Ideally, like November or December.
Okay, wow. And do you think there is any possibility that Bellator could move that fast with you, or probably not?
Yeah, I fought. So this has been my 5th fight. I fought, but my first fight was December of 2020. So I fought 5 times already since December. Yeah, 2020. So I'm on the fast track.
I like it. I like it.
Which I like it. I like it that way just because I don't have that many injuries. I have some injuries, but I don't have that many injuries. So I like staying busy.
Absolutely. So last couple things here in the last couple of minutes we have you, Raufeon. One of them would be, can you give any advice to fighters coming up? I mean, I know that as a pro, things have gone very, very well for you, and I'm sure it's not by accident. And you fought some tough guys coming up, you know, too, and have always been grinding. What can you tell, let's say, a fighter who is just about ready to go pro? They've had a few amateur fights, and they're really excited, and they have a lot of potential, because a whole bunch of guys come in and then don't end up where you're at. That whatever bad managers or taking fights last second, you know, a bunch of guys end up kind of throwing away their career because of things not going well. What can you tell a fighter who's about ready to turn pro to look out for and to do, so that maybe he could end up being like a 17-1 fighter a few years later, like yourself?
One thing I would say, the first thing I would say is do away with like fight camps and make fighting. It's got to be like a lifestyle, and I got to be like constantly growing and getting better as a mixed martial artist myself. Like, I'm not preparing for fights. When fights come along, then you just add techniques that will work better in those fights. But if you make the fighting a lifestyle, or martial arts, getting better at all martial arts a lifestyle, is going to make it a lot easier to take fights. It's going to make it a lot easier to use tools that are good for fights and to skill build, things like that. So like the consistency of always, you know, just making mixed martial arts your lifestyle. Like, it's just a part of your life. It's something you do every day. I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely. That makes sense. I really appreciate that a lot. What's the best place for people to support you on social media? And then also feel free to thank anyone you want, team, sponsors, whatever you want.
Yeah, you can find me on social media, Raufeon Stots on Instagram, one word, Raufeon Stots, one word on Twitter, and then also on Facebook, you can find me, Raufeon Stots, two word, or Raufeon Stots fan page.
Awesome. And Raufeon, I really appreciate you, man, coming on here after your great victory. People are excited about you. This has to be a good feeling, passing by kind of this juggernaut in this Russian guy that everyone had built up. And so now you have his smoke, you know, as well as yours, man. So I'm really excited because you're a very, very good guy. You're respectful. You never hesitate to make your obligation when we have you on the show. You come on, the sound is good and clear. And so I really appreciate you a lot and want to let you know we'll be cheering for you. Let us know, man, when you got something else signed. We'll have you on back on to help hype it up.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.